Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas AlphaBounce running shoes. Now this is a brand new model from Adidas. It has a retail price of $100 US, and what you get for that retail price is their brand new forged mesh upper material as well as a full-length bounce foam midsole. And the package as a whole is very, very impressive when it comes to performance. I've been wearing these shoes for the last 2 weeks or so, and like I said, I've been extremely impressed with them. It's a really, really good running model, and we're going to go over all of the details as far as tech specs, the fit, the weight, everything you need to know in this video. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around. I'm also going to be talking about it in comparison to the Adidas Ultra Boost, which is kind of the obvious comparison because at the moment, this is kind of the most popular running model from the Adidas brand, but for $80 less than the Ultra Boost retail, I think the AlphaBounce is a pretty compelling option, which again, I'm gonna be detailing in today's video. So if you wanna learn more, stick around. If you are interested in a pair of these for yourself, there will be a buy it now link in the description of this video that'll have all of the currently available colorways. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk tech specs and performance with the Adidas AlphaBounce. Now, I was really impressed with this shoe. I know I immediately compared it to the Adidas Ultra Boost, that I have right here. And the Ultra Boost is a very good shoe. It retails for $180, so it's pretty expensive. But what's good about this shoe is one, the prime knit upper, which does have a tighter overall fit and feel in comparison to something like the AlphaBounce. And then of course the Boost midsole, which offers an extremely cushioned sensation. I like it for walking around. I can't say I'm particularly crazy about it personally when it comes to actually running. I'm not huge on really heavily cushioned running shoes, but if you are, this is one of, if not the very best option out there. The other thing I don't particularly love about the Ultra Boost is the plastic Adidas stripes here running through the midfoot. They're there for a reason. They help to lock your foot in place. It what attaches the lacing system to the shoe, and it does, like I said, provide all that structure through the midfoot. That is somewhat of a requirement with this particular design. With that said, there is actually an uncaged variation of the Ultra Boost that's releasing very soon. I'm hoping to get my hands on those to try them out. But with the standard variation of the Ultra Boost, I don't particularly love the super tight fit. I don't love the ultra cushion feel, and I'm not crazy about this plastic midfoot cage that they have going on here. But for casual wear, it's a very comfortable shoe. It just depends on what you like when it comes to an actual performance product as to whether or not you should buy the Ultra Boost for running or just to wear around. Now with the AlphaBounce, it does have similar kinds of traits, I guess, but it's very different at the same time. Now, with the upper on this shoe, it introduces their new forged mesh material, which I've been extremely impressed with. This is not the greatest colorway to really showcase the material itself, but basically it's a very dense mesh material where they've added structure somehow within this actual kind of wavy pattern. I'm not sure exactly how the process works. They don't really specify that, I think for pretty obvious reasons, but basically it's a thick mesh material. And hopefully you guys can see it on video. There's some waves here, and the waves run all the way through the sides of the forefoot, almost up to the very tip of the toe, up to the midfoot, and then back towards the heel. And these waved areas add a lot more structure and rigidity to the upper without actually taking away from the softness and flexibility. It still bends this way, but it won't stretch this way, whereas in the toe box area, it does have some stretch and give to it, which just makes for a very comfortable kind of sock-like sensation. So what I really like about this shoe is when you put them on and you tie the laces tight, you have all the structure that you need from a pair of runners, but at the same time, you don't have any pressure points. It really does have that consistent softness and consistent level of comfort throughout the entire foot that I really enjoyed about this particular upper. Now, it is technically seamless. There are seams right here at the back of the heel, but that's obviously in a spot where you're not going to feel it at all. And it is a separate piece for the heel as well as the tongue piece. So the tongue is kind of a fake tongue in that it's a piece of material that fills in the middle of the shoe, but it also acts as an internal structure. So you do have kind of an internal booty construction where there is a second layer of material that wraps on the side of the upper, holding your midfoot in place. So it has kind of more of a snug sensation even prior to tying the laces tight, and then the laces are there obviously just to kind of hold everything and lock your foot in place. But again, the actual comfort level that you get from this forged mesh upper, I was very, very impressed with. For me, that's my favorite feature of this particular shoe. The other thing that they mentioned in a lot of the tech specs and press releases is that while this is technically listed as a runner, you can actually do some training in them. So that's what I did. I did a little bit of sprints, I did some changes in direction, I even played some basketball in these things. And surprisingly, despite this forged mesh upper feeling very soft, very flexible, the amount of structure you get from these side pieces with this wavy pattern is pretty good. I'm not gonna say that it's as locked in and as responsive as an actual pair of trainers, but if you want to sprint in them, if you want to occasionally do some suicide sprints or something like that, you definitely can do it in this shoe. You can get away with it. It doesn't feel unstable, and that for me is a really nice feature on this particular shoe. And again, something you're not really going to get from something like the Ultra Boost, which really isn't designed for sprinting at all. It's really more of a straight up jogger. With the rest of the upper, the laces obviously run through the middle. Not a lot of lace holes, but you don't really need it. It fits pretty well. Just a super, super comfortable shoe. Pretty standard low cut. Comes a little bit higher here at the front, which I personally don't mind. You have a pull tab there as well as at the heel. The back part does have a little bit of that kind of backwards curve to it, which we see a lot from the Adidas runners. A little bit wider than what you find on the Ultra Boost, but I would say equally as comfortable. Pretty standard liner on the inside, some decent padding back there as well. And there's some nice structure to the heel area with this kind of small external plastic heel counter that does a good job of keeping your heel from sliding side to side. And the back is a little bit firmer as well, which I kind of like the feel of. The insole is removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that, although it is fairly minimal. Mesh liner on top. It's just a single layer of this gray foam, but it gets the job done. And then of course you have the Bounce foam midsole, which is something that I don't believe we've ever seen on an actual running shoe, or at least a flagship runner. This is the first time where Bounce foam on a running shoe has seen kind of a lot of press attention from Adidas themselves, but it's really, really good. It's not like Boost foam in any way. I know a lot of people are trying to compare this to the Ultra Boost and the way that it feels. It does provide more of a heavily cushioned sensation to it. So if you do want a more kind of traditional style running shoe in terms of the amount of underfoot cushioning that it provides, you're going to get that from the AlphaBounce. It's in comparison to the Boost, which I would describe as more of a shoe that you kind of sink into when you touch the ground and then it kind of bounces back or boosts you up. This is a shoe that has more of a kind of bouncy, rubbery type sensation to it. So the actual amount of compression that you get isn't to the same extreme as what you'll find from the Boost midsole on the Ultra Boost or just Boost foam in general, but it still does have that kind of bouncy springiness to it that I really, really liked. I guess if you're going to compare it to anything else, it would be Lunarlon from Nike, but for me, this felt that much more bouncy in comparison to Lunarlon, and also didn't seem to have much of a break-in time. It felt really, really good from right out of the box, and continued to felt good pretty much for my 2-week period wearing these shoes. Super, super comfortable. Again, I'm generally not a huge fan of shoes that have a heavy amount of underfoot cushioning, but for me, really found these comfortable. There was no lack of stability because of the amount of cushioning that you get, especially in the heel. And it's just a really, really comfortable runner in general. Also, what's kind of unusual given the thickness of the outsole is that the foam itself is really, really flexible. There's not a lot of stiffness to this shoe at all. So it just feels very natural in general with, again, a good amount of underfoot cushioning. So if you want that kind of bouncy underfoot feel from your shoes, the name would suggest that it does have that bouncy feel, and I can confirm 100% that is what you get from the AlphaBounce. As far as the bottom of the shoe is concerned, this is another thing that I really like about this shoe, as well as Adidas runners in general, is that you get a good amount of rubber. All of the parts here, pretty much the entire bottom, is solid rubber, which is really, really nice. There is somewhat of a traction pattern, which you can see now because I have been wearing the shoe and it is a little bit dirty, but for the most part, it's solid rubber. You can wear it indoors, outdoors, concrete, an indoor court. It doesn't really matter. The traction that you get is very good, and because it is solid rubber all the way through, you're going to get pretty good durability out of this outsole as well. So I just really like this shoe in general. It has become my personal favorite running shoe. If I do want something with a little bit more heavy cushion in comparison to the Ultra Boost, I do prefer the AlphaBounce to actually train in. To wear casually, I could go either way, but to actually run in, I much prefer the AlphaBounce. But again, it really depends on what you're looking for when it comes to a pair of runners. If you want something more heavily cushioned, at $100, I really don't see a better value in comparison to the AlphaBounce. Whereas if you want something that is a little bit more low profile for just jogging, maybe something from the Nike Free line is worth a look. And if you want an outright training shoe, I think that an actual training model would be a better option as well. But again, for straight up jogging and occasionally doing some sprints and stuff like that, this is an absolutely fantastic model to consider. When it comes to weight, I thought we'd compare the Ultra Boost to the AlphaBounce to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two, or just to see what the difference is in general. So keep in mind that these are both the exact same size, 9.5 US. So this is a very fair comparison. We're gonna be using this scale. Start off with the Ultra Boost, throw them on, and you can see that they weigh in at 10.6 ounces, the equivalent of 301 grams, which for a running shoe that provides as much underfoot cushioning as this one does, that's actually very, very light. So we'll change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and we'll throw on the AlphaBounce, and you can see that they weigh in at 11.9 ounces, the equivalent of 337 grams. So you're talking about a 36 gram weight difference between these two shoes, which is somewhat significant. The AlphaBounce definitely in hand does feel heavier than the Ultra Boost, but overall on feet, the feel is very, very different. I'll say that. I find the AlphaBounce, like I said earlier, to be a little bit more comfortable. And for me, while right at the 12-ounce mark, this is by no means a lightweight running shoe, they don't feel heavy at all. It's just such a comfortable shoe. The upper feels great on your foot. The amount of underfoot cushioning that it provides is very comfortable as well. It's nice and flexible, which I guess takes away from the actual weight of the shoe just because it feels more natural on your feet. And again, at no point when I was wearing this shoe did I feel like they were heavy in any way. So again, if you want something that is lighter in general, there are lighter options out there. But if you're looking for something that has a super comfortable upper as well as really good underfoot cushioning at the $100 price point, again, I really think the AlphaBounce is probably one of, if not the best option out there at the moment. As far as aesthetics go, I actually really like the look of the AlphaBounce. Typical to a lot of kind of newer Adidas models that are coming out, the Adidas branding is kind of kept to a minimal. You have the 3 stripes there on the tongue, a very small Adidas logo right here on the lateral side of the heel, and that's pretty much all the Adidas branding you're going to find on the upper. It does have the AlphaBounce name, again, kind of very subtly put there on the heel counter on the lateral side. But everything else is pretty much just patterns or colors depending on which colorway that you go for. Now this is one of the initial colorways to come out. The inspiration is motion capture, so that's why it has this pretty funky pattern here in black and white. This pattern I believe is featured on every single colorway, but the other colorways besides this one have it in a much more subtle fashion. So this one is quite loud and it has it all the way across the upper and the midsole. Colorway availability, there are a few colorways at launch that are available. This one, from what I've seen, is sold out most places. But again, if you are interested in a pair, whatever's available will be linked down below in the description of this video. But all in all, I really like how this shoe looks. I don't really have anything to complain about. It's got a nice clean design to it overall. The minimal Adidas branding I think is not a bad thing. I think we've seen plenty of shoes at this point with 3 stripes running through the midfoot. This doesn't have that. And again, I think it's a pretty good looking shoe in general, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the AlphaBounce on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I have a pair of white with black dots premium SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they are extremely comfortable in every single aspect that you could imagine. No break-in time required. The shoe is flexible. The forged mesh upper feels really, really comfortable on your foot. There's no pressure points due to the construction process that they've implemented here. And the Bounce midsole doesn't really require any break-in time either. It's got good flexibility to it, and it feels really good out of the box, which with a lot of foam cushioning midsoles, you often feel like it takes a little while until you start to feel the cushion, and you really don't get that sensation with this shoe. They felt consistent from the first time that I put them on to 2 weeks later when I'm putting them on again. And they really just keep going and it doesn't feel like the foam is giving out or changing in any way at all, which is a very, very good thing. As far as that forged mesh upper is concerned, it fits really nicely. Again, there's no pressure points when you pull the laces tight. Your foot is locked in pretty securely. It's got really good flexibility to it. The toe box and forefoot area is really, really flexible, has that nice sock-like kind of softness on your foot. The heel lockdown is very good as well. And again, no complaints in regards to the upper. The midsole provides really good underfoot cushioning, has good thickness to it, but also is surprisingly flexible in the forefoot and toe area, which again, is a really, really good quality in a pair of running shoes in my opinion. And I just like how they feel. It's really, there's no really better way of saying it. As far as the width of the shoe is concerned, they've got some good width to them. They're going to be suitable for just about anybody, even if you do have wider feet. You're unlikely to have any issues with these at all. And as far as sizing is concerned, I went with my usual size, 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Adidas AlphaBounce running shoes. Again, if you are interested in a pair of these for yourself, there will be a buy it now link in the description of this video, so go ahead and check that out. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.